Welcome back. I am a friendly pest, and today I wanted to do something productive. I'm using an Oculus Quest 2. This game is Saints and Sinners: The Walking Dead. Fantastic game, by the way. Today I wanted to talk about how I personally overcame VR nausea and helped a couple friends do that as well. First off, what VR nausea is. VR nausea is actually motion sickness. You're in a 3D immersive space, and when you move, your brain expects your body to feel that movement. And we do this in real life. Like if you stumble forward and backward, your body automatically adjusts for this. It's part of what keeps us upright, our equilibrium in check. Well, in VR, you're in this 3D immersive environment. You move through 3D space, your body expects to feel that, and it doesn't. That disconnect causes discomfort, motion sickness, VR nausea. Okay. And the reason I want to talk about this is I believe, in my opinion, VR is about to really take off. The Quest 2, I think in the last quarter or half of last year, sold 50% of its total sales, which is tremendous. Like, that curve must look like this, right? So there's a lot of new people in VR, and one of the biggest hurdles is nausea, because you put a headset on. Some games are more extreme than others, but say the person, their first experience happens to be something very extreme, like one of those free roller coaster games, they'll be so uncomfortable and frustrated, they'll be done, right? And they're going to miss out on a lot of really cool opportunities to experience some great games because it was kind of thrown to the wolves unprepared. So, back on subject. How to get past VR nausea. First off, know your games, right? Some games are just going to be more uncomfortable than others, especially starting out. The good news is you can build up to this. You got to give yourself time to build tolerance. For example, I got glasses like 5 years ago, something like that. When I first put those on, it was like living in a fishbowl, right? I put them on, I think I was, actually I was probably 33 or 34 when I put them on. Very uncomfortable. It took my brain at least 6 weeks to rewire itself so that I could function effectively. Like I remember the first week I had them on, I was trying to rewire something and I was so frustrated and I couldn't see and my depth perception was off and I was uncomfortable and nauseous. Anyway, 6 weeks later my brain adjusts. I can see the world like I'm supposed to see the world and life's better, okay? VR, you got to give your body time to get used to this, and it will. It will get used to this, but don't push too hard, right? In your first plan, if you're uncomfortable within 15 minutes, stop, right? Try again tomorrow. If you're uncomfortable within 15 minutes again, stop. In a couple weeks, I promise it gets better, and I've seen it with my friends, and I've seen it with myself. Give yourself time, you will get used to this. Another thing to consider, some games are just more comfortable than others. Like if you're playing a tabletop game like Demio and you're moving these pieces and you kind of move the board, that is a much more comfortable experience than walking around in 3D space like this game here, okay? Start with something like that maybe. Help yourself get used to having the headset on and being in the 3D environment, okay? Another type of game that's more comfortable than, say, this one is Beat Saber or Pistol Whip, Super Hot, something where you don't move a lot and things move towards you and you interact with them. Those are a lot easier on you. It's moving through 3D space yourself that can become pretty uncomfortable. And then like a roller coaster or something with an airplane, those are extremely uncomfortable, in my opinion. And you can build up to them. Once you build up to them, like today, I can play for hours and hours and hours and not feel any discomfort at all. But it was absolutely not the case when I started. One of my very first experiences in VR was one of those free roller coaster games, and I was so sick that I laid on the floor for like 30 minutes afterward, and then I felt poorly for at least 4 hours into that day. So don't do that. Okay, don't do that. There should be warnings on those games. Like, if this is your first time in VR, this is not a good idea because this is going to give you the wrong impression for what VR can be. And VR can be very exciting. Like, for me, this gives developers a way, like, even taking my pistol out of inventory and reloading it is completely different than how you would do that in a regular game. And every game varies. But this gives developers a new fun way for you to interact with the world, and you can do very tedious tasks like weapon maintenance or inventory or just the way you use your weapons. It's completely different allows a different look at games, gives you new ways to appreciate them, new skills to learn. It is so much fun once you get started, especially once you get used to the experience and you're not so uncomfortable. Once you get involved and you start developing these skills, it is so satisfying to get good at these new mechanics. And you know, once you're my age and you've been playing games your whole life, you kind of get bored with traditional games. Like, there's not a lot they can do that you haven't seen. You know how deep the simulation goes, right? In VR, you don't really know what to expect. You don't know what they're going to do because they're going to focus the resources on different things that you appreciate more than you would otherwise. So it's a very exciting place to play. And I've seen it transcend generations. My father, for example, wasn't interested in any type of gaming through my life, but first time he put on one of these, he loved it. Now he has one of his own. He plays it several times a week, tells me about games he's playing. It's awesome. It's awesome because I wasn't able to get him into games before. But he knows how to grab things, right? He knows how to shoot. He knows how to play with his hands. It's a different kind of muscle memory than a gamepad with analogs and buttons. And that learning curve there can turn people off. Back to how to beat VR nausea. I covered giving yourself time. Give yourself weeks. Give yourself weeks and don't push too hard. That makes a big difference. Another thing, I like my turning to be tied to my hands, not my head. And what that means is when I'm walking, I can turn my head and I still go this direction. If you've got your movement tied to your head, when you turn your head, you do that. I found that uncomfortable because it was unexpected, right? When I turn my body, I expect to go that way. So when I turn my hands with my body, I expect to go that way. That for me is way more comfortable. So in my opinion, from my experience and from my friends, the hand-based movement instead of the head-based movement made the games more comfortable for me. Another thing, consider using a vignette, and I will show you what that is in the options. And I've got it cranked up all the way, the nausea reduction. But what that is a vignette. And now when I move, the camera chokes down to give me tunnel vision. And that can make it more comfortable for a lot of people, especially starting out. I don't like it because I like to see my peripheral vision as much as possible. And I've built up my VR legs, so to speak, so I'm no longer uncomfortable in these spaces anyway. So I don't need the vignettes, and I leave them disabled. You could also consider trying a game in seated mode instead of standing. Now you need to make sure your game supports that. You need to make sure your game supports vignettes. But sometimes sitting down, having that seat under you, grounds you, and then when you're in the space, you find it more comfortable. Another thing you can do is lean against a wall, and having that pressure on your back can ground you and make you more comfortable in the space. But the biggest thing, start with something that's more comfortable to give yourself time to build up. Give yourself time. Don't expect to be perfect in a day. Give yourself weeks. Because I promise, after a couple of weeks of doing this a little bit every day, you're going to be playing a lot longer than you used to. And it sounds like a tall order, but then in months, I know that sounds like a lot, but you'll be able to play as long as you want to play. And to me, it's worth it. To me, it's absolutely worth it. Now, I know there are other lists online, and you can read those, and I recommend it. Read those lists. I've heard people say that they'll take different kinds of medication and stuff like that to kind of help them ease to break into it. I didn't find that necessary, and I don't know how much I would recommend that because I think you can get there naturally. And I definitely don't want to recommend something like that, especially from my lack of knowledge or experience. But if someone that was qualified recommended that to you, I don't see anything wrong with it. But certainly, I am not qualified to make that kind of recommendation. Another thing you can do, if you have the space, like I have a fairly large play area for my VR headset, and I have my Guardian. I can walk physically around my play space, and that helps me get used to moving around in these worlds without using the analog stick. So I find that pretty helpful too, breaking people into the world. Let them walk around and get a feel for it that way. But the biggest thing is it takes time, and it's worth it, because I think VR is about to take off in a big way. And I think it's going to get better super fast, like exponentially, because people are buying in. Like, the Quest is a very affordable very easy to use in comparison option for an experience that otherwise required quite a bit of knowledge. You needed a PC, you needed to be able to set up satellite cameras, you needed to make the software work together, you needed to put on the headset, you got to deal with the wire, right? There was a lot more to VR then than the Quest now, right? And that's only going to get better. And the more people buy into this, the more it's worth it for the developers to make really great games. So to me, it's worth getting your feet wet now, get comfortable, especially if you think you would like to enjoy games like this in a way that you can enjoy games now. Like, it's a completely different experience. Going out and look, I had an AirLink hiccup there, I apologize. It's because my Quest 2 actually runs from my PC over a wireless network connection, so once in a while I'll get a stutter. I don't have a physical cable, so that's what you experience there. Those can be a little uncomfortable, especially when you're getting started, by the way, but the games that run native on a Quest 2, you won't really have that, but this is the easiest way for me to capture the footage, so I apologize for the hiccup. Back on subject. For me, VR is very exciting, and it's going to get better fast. It's going to be really interesting, and it's worth it to get your feet wet. So seeing so many people buy in and so many people excited about this, I didn't want them to become frustrated and miss out on a really great experience. I wanted them, in the best way I could, with my own experience, how I got past VR nausea, how I've helped several friends get past it, and then I encourage you also to check out some of those lists online. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you want to see some of my gameplay videos, I've got quite a few of those, and I make 3 videos a week just playing games, and I start with no experience on those games and then work my way through and learn. So if you start at episode 1, you're going to see somebody who's not read a guide, who doesn't know what they're doing, struggling badly, and then later on in the series I get better. But hopefully that gives you guys a genuine experience of what to expect, because some of this stuff can be frustrating. It's not just the nausea, right? You got to learn new mechanics. You have to develop the muscle memory to play these games. And if they tell you to push the A button, which one's the A button? Like, all you can see is your hand, right? So there are challenges to getting into this space, and any way you can make that more comfortable for somebody so they can enjoy it, totally worth it. I'm going to wrap this up. I think I've prattled on long enough. I think I've gushed enough about VR. I love it. Right now, it's my favorite way to play. Highly recommend it. If you found this video helpful, let me know. If you have some great ideas that I didn't think of, please comment below. And then if you watched this video and you need more ideas, read the comments, because maybe somebody down there is a lot smarter than me. Really good chance of that, because I'm not very smart. And that can help you also get into this space. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting this tiny channel. Have fun in VR. Thank you. Have a nice day.
There I saw you standing by the square, a breath of wind